Hey there guys, Arch here with the first video in a series of videos I'm going to be doing. Thought I would do a tutorial type series on Heroes of the Storm. Got into the alpha a while back. I've been playing it for quite a while now. As you can tell, I'm level 38. Getting to 40. Thought I would start off with the character I think I've played the most and really have the absolute most experience with. Let me just find her on the shop here. Where is she at? Sergeant Hammer. Here we go. First one I wanted to show you guys was Sergeant Hammer. It's probably the single character I've played the most in this game. She's very squishy, but very high damage. Just to kind of explain how Sergeant Hammer works, Sergeant Hammer is really meant as a very long-range burst damage. Primarily against, like, siege targets, so towers, walls, bases, cores, things like that. Just to cover some of the basics in terms of her abilities. Her Q ability is Spider Mines. It's got 50 mana cost, 14-second cooldown. Creates mines that slow and damage enemies on contact. These Spider Mines are generally an ability you want to use, I don't want to say on cooldown, but pretty much any time you're going to be going stationary, or if you want to try to block an area off, or if you want to do anything like that, I would highly recommend laying it down. Especially if you're all set up in siege mode when you don't have hover siege mode yet, which I'll be covering later. You definitely want to have these down. It does a decent amount of damage, and the slow really helps. Next one is Concussive Blast, 75 mana cost and a 12-second cooldown, knockback and damage enemies. You're really only going to be using this ability if there's enemies in very close range to you. If you're playing correctly, that should be very rare. Obviously, there are going to be melee characters melee heroes that are going to be coming like directly towards you, trying to kill you and everything. This definitely helps trying to escape or trying to knock them off someone else if you're trying to help a teammate. The next one is Siege Mode. This ability is literally the bread and butter of Sergeant Hammer. 40 mana cost, 5-second cooldown, increases damage, range, and deals splash damage. Cannot move in Siege Mode. This ability makes it so that your attacks have splash damage whenever you're attacking, and it increases your range and the damage you deal. So what'll end up happening is whenever you go into Siege Mode, you can basically just destroy anything in a small area. So ideally what you want to do with Siege Mode is you can take out the minions coming down each lane. It's really good for that. It's really good for taking out towers because you can actually hit a tower and the wall at the same time due to the splash damage, which is really nice. And there's a talent later on that makes this much more viable for killing heroes, but generally it's good for killing heroes in the first place. One of the other big things about Siege Mode is going to this next ability. The trait for her is Artillery. Increased vision. Deal more damage to enemies that are far away, which ties in perfectly with Siege Mode, because ideally you want to have your enemies as far away from you as possible, because then that means they're not hitting you. And then heroic abilities. The first one, the one I generally don't take, is Blunt Force Gun, or BFG, as a lot of people call it. Mana cost is pretty high, the cooldown is higher, and it fires a giant bullet bill looking type rocket that travels cross-map. It's a decent enough of an attack if you want to pick off someone that's really low health. If one of your teammates in a different lane maybe got someone down really low and the person trying to run away, you can lead the shot and try to kill them with that. Another big appeal for it is the fact that it's got that cross-map travel. There's a talent that it has later on that makes it decently better, but again, I'll cover that when I get to it. Next one, and my favorite, is Napalm Strike. 35 mana cost, 6-second cooldown. Long-range volley that deals damage to enemies in an area. This is by far the best heroic ability I've seen, at least in terms of quick burst damage. Napalm Strike, that 6-second cooldown, is really good. You can target an area and you just blow stuff up in it, and it leaves a damage over time area there. So it'll do impact damage and then damage over time to anything in it afterwards. Great for taking out heroes, minions, mercenary camps. If you want to go do some of those, you can do it later on. Not to mention, too, towers and bases are... I don't even need to mention how much damage it does to those. Really good ability. My favorite, the one I'm going to be taking when I show you guys gameplay. Now we go to the talents. I'm not going to cover the skins because whatever. Tier 1. Regen Master is useless. Don't ever take it. Advanced Artillery, this one here is the one I almost always take, because if you're playing Sergeant Hammer correctly, you should almost always have your enemies at a long distance. Increases the damage bonus by 10%. I believe the baseline damage bonus is 15%, so that boosts it up a decent amount. Lethal Blast increased the damage of Concussive Blast by 25%. This should be almost never taken, just because obviously you should be having your enemies at a range. You shouldn't be using Concussive Blast all that much. Resistant, while in siege mode, the duration of silence, stuns, slows, and roots are reduced by 50%. I haven't had enough experience for me to really say yes or no. I mean, that sounds great and all, but generally if you're in siege mode and people are hitting you with those type abilities anyway, you're probably dead regardless of the reduction to the duration. Ambush, cloak while entering siege mode, your next basic attack will deal 100% more damage. This one is it's a debated ability. I personally don't like it as much, just because you can't recloak unless you leave siege mode and get back into it, so it's not as useful as like Nova or Zeratul cloak. The next basic attack dealing 100% more damage, that's nice and all if you're going to go for like an assassin type build. But if you're doing a long range, more of a siege build like I do, then it's not going to be quite as useful. So my final answer for the Tier 1, Advanced Artillery, definitely my favorite. Does a hell of a lot of damage in the long run. I would definitely recommend it. Tier 4 for level 4. Focus attack, every 10 seconds your next basic attack deals 50% additional damage. Basic attacks reduce this cooldown by 1 second. I'll talk about that in a second. Vampiric Assault, basic attacks heal for 15% of the damage dealt. Again, I'll talk about that one in a second. Maelstrom Shells increase basic attack range by 1. Normally this would be a good thing, however, with the type of build that I use Sergeant Hammer, it's not really necessary that early in the game to have that increased attack range, especially since it's only by 1, and that's a talent choice. It's kind of small, I wouldn't recommend it. Excessive Force, double the knockback distance. Compared to the other two in this tier, it's not that good. If you're going to be up close a lot, then I can understand why you might want to take it, but we want to stay long range again. Now, covering these two talents, Focused Attack and Vampiric Assault, these are both really nice talent choices. The way I decide which one I want to take is if you're on a team that has at least 1 to 2 supports, so if you've got, let's say, a Tassadar or a Lili, even a Brightwing or Malfurion, then I would say definitely go Focused Attack, because then that'll definitely help amp up your damage output by a lot. However, if you're lacking support, if you've only got assassins and tanks or whatever, specialists, definitely go Vampiric Assault. Early to mid-game, the 15% of damage dealt healing you isn't that big of a deal because your damage isn't that high yet. But like late mid-game to late game, that healing goes up by a significant amount. So I would highly recommend, if you do not have any healers on your team or support, definitely pick Vampiric Assault, because it will help you in the long run to stay alive longer and break stuff. Alright, now for level 7. Fortify Position. Enemies cannot move you while in siege mode. Grants 2 stacks of block, each absorbing 50% of a basic attack. Nice ability if you want to stay defensive and you want to make sure that enemies can't move you while you're in siege mode. It's a great ability. If you're facing off against let's say a Diablo's in the lane that you're pushing a lot, or if you've got someone that just has a lot of abilities that'll knock you back or anything like that, this is a nice one. The basic attack absorption is also very helpful. Hover Siege Mode. You can move at 50% movement speed in Siege mode. This is by far the best talent choice I've ever seen on this tier. Honestly, even if you're going at a slower pace, you can move in Siege mode, which is phenomenal. It allows you to have some mobility. If an enemy is trying to leave the range of your Siege mode, you can chase them down for a little bit longer and get that extra shot in. Not to mention, to all the towers and everything, you really want to take those out as quick as possible, and you can push them a lot easier. Hang on one second, gonna take a drink. Alright. Hypercooling engines. Reduces the cooldown of thrusters by 10 seconds. Thrusters are always active while at the altar. The always active at the altar part, I'm actually kind of irritated that that's not a baseline, considering the fact that everybody else starts on their horse while they're there. I find that to be a little irritating, especially that they had to make it a talent. Reducing the cooldown of thrusters by 10 seconds, just to explain, since Sergeant Hammer can't mount, and she only moves at normal movement speed while she's moving, the thrusters is you can hit Z, and you've got like little rockets that'll pop out of the side here, and Sergeant Hammer can zip forward at a increased speed for like 6 seconds or something like that. Decent ability. Helps to kind of like disengage if you're being hunted down or whatever. It's alright. Overall, this talent choice I really wouldn't pick unless you're going to be running away a lot, which you really shouldn't need to be doing, provided you have a team that's actually backing you up. First Aid, 60-second cooldown, activate to heal 35% of your max health over 6. Completely useless. Don't take this. It's really not that good. I don't understand why you would take this talent over Hover Siege mode. Maybe if this was on a different tier, I would take it, but not with Hover Siege right there. Alright, level 10. Like I talked about before, you got Blunt First Gun, or you got Napalm Strike. Obviously, I picked Napalm Strike. Definitely a much better ability, in my opinion. 40 damage on impact and then 30 damage per second. I think that, yeah, it's 4-second duration. Much better ability. I would highly recommend taking it. If you want to take BFG, that's your choice. These are all suggestions, obviously. I'm not telling you to take any of these, but I would highly recommend Napalm Strike. Level 13. Giant Killer. Basic attacks against enemy heroes deal bonus damage equal to 1.5 of their max health. Nice ability if you're going for more of an assassin, a long-range assassin type build. I would highly recommend this one then. I'll mention it a bit more when I get to the rest of these. Crucio X2 Cannon. Increased basic attack range by 2. Pretty nice ability, increases your attack range, which is pretty good. Again, though, I mean, when I get to the later tier, I'll explain why I generally don't take this one. I don't want this talent compared to the other ones. I'll get to those. First Strike. Basic attacks deal 25% more damage if you haven't been attacked within the last 5 seconds. If you're playing Sergeant Hammer correctly, you shouldn't be getting attacked at all, really. You should be hanging out in the back, blasting people, while the rest of your team's getting hit in the face. So this is the one I always take. I've never really picked any of these other ones. The only exception would be maybe on the Raven Curse map. That one's pretty heavy on team fights, so Giant Killer would be pretty useful then when you're going for tributes, because then you'll do more damage. Especially since you're probably gonna be getting hit a few times there, so Giant Killer won't be deactivated like First Strike was. Barricade. Create a wall of path-blocking debris for 4 seconds. I would not recommend this one. I've seen some pretty nasty incidents where people took this ability and they threw up the wall and they got someone else killed because they were running away. It's really not that great. I would not recommend it. Bullhead Mines. Spider Mines knock targets back a short distance. Completely useless. You really shouldn't need knockback on the mines. They get slowed from the mines in the first place. It's not really necessary, and I wouldn't recommend it over First Strike or Giant Killer. Level 16. This is where I explain the whole range part I was mentioning. Executioner basic attacks deal 40% more damage against slowed, rooted, or stunned. Can be good for team fights, just because you've got all your different teammates, and I'm sure some of them have some abilities that'll be slowing them or whatnot. Can be good if you're going for an assassin build again. In the build I'm talking about, though, we're going more long-range siege style. Minefield, increase the number of mines by 2. Can be very good. The mines definitely do a decent amount of damage, so increasing the amount would be nice. Not my top pick right now. That'd be like my number 2. I'll explain that in a second, though, or explain why. Slowing mines increases the movement speed slow of spider mines to 50% and the duration to 2.5. Again, not really something I would take. It's nice, but that requires the enemy getting close enough to you that the mines are hitting them, which isn't going to be happening as often if you're playing Sergeant Hammer properly. This is the ability I always take, Graduating Range. While in Siege mode, your basic attack range increases by 1 every 3 seconds, up to 5. If you're playing Sergeant Hammer, you should be in Siege mode, hover Siege mode, obviously, pretty much like almost the entire game. The only exception is maybe when you're trying to run away from someone. So obviously you're going to have that increased range by 5, which is more than the other 2 talents that we had seen before combined. Stone Skin, it's really not that good of an ability. Look, if you're getting hit that much that you need to take this, you're probably losing anyways, so I wouldn't even bother. And lastly, level 20, for Fury of the Storm, basic attacks bounce twice to nearby enemies for 50% damage. Honestly, this ability is really nice. I like that it does the basic attacks since Sergeant Hammer is primarily focused around basic attacks. But the other one that I'm going to say is a lot better for this tier, so it's, yeah. Resurgence of the Storm, upon dying, revive back at your altar after 5 seconds, occurs once every 120. You shouldn't be dying. You're Sergeant Hammer. You're supposed to be staying at a range. If you're doing it correctly, your teammates are all on the ball, this should not be an option. In terms of the 2 ultimates, Orbital BFG, Blunt Force Gun Missile orbit the planet every 5 seconds. Only last fired missile will orbit. This is what I was mentioning before with BFG, is basically you can aim this down a lane, and it'll continue to keep flying around the map and keep going down that exact same path. Which is nice because you can take out their minions in that lane, which is nice to allow for your minions to push, and you can also aim it at their core. The only thing is the amount of damage it does generally isn't high enough to take the shield off of the core in the first place, and by the time it hits again, the shield's back up. If you're hitting the core, then it's doing a decent enough amount of damage. But, as I said, I don't like BFG, I don't take it, it's not as good. Purely opinion though, completely up to you guys. Advanced Lava Strike. Napalm strike range is increased by 75%, and its impact does 50% more damage. Yes, yes, and more yes. Level 20, you've already got that level 16 talent, Graduating Range. Excuse me. The increased range on Napalm Strike makes it so nice because if an enemy's running away, you can just lead the shot, and you're guaranteed you'll probably kill them. If not from the impact, then from the ticking damage. It's amazing. Highly recommend, 10 out of 10, would buy. Alright, well that's my explanation for the talents and abilities. Now I will go into a practice game just so I can show you guys the skills and abilities of Sergeant Hammer in action. Where is she? There she is. Yeah, I've actually got the really nice, the white skin for her. Played her enough that I got the different skins. There's the red, blue, and the white one. The white one's so nice, though. It's just so very nice. Alright, let's do this. Alright, Blackheart's Bay. So, to explain a bit about how Sergeant Hammer works on this map, just because she's a bit different per map. Generally, you want to probably go bottom lane, is my suggestion, just because bottom lane is more often than not neglected a bit compared to the middle and top lane. Top lane, obviously, because the Siege Giant's there, and middle lane because that's where the Sight Tower, as well as one of the treasure chests spawns. And then it leads right to where the ship is. Alright, so as I said, I'm going to take Advanced Artillery. More often than not, I should be at advanced range. So that shouldn't be a problem.
Get ready for battle, you
On a normal match, just because this is practice mode, I'm not going to concern myself with it. Normal Blackheart's Bay, almost every single game I've been in, the entire team swarms the sight tower up here.
10 seconds.
Usually leads to someone dying, either your side or theirs. Shock and a surprise right there, but honestly, it's
No quarter.
kind of rough on Sergeant Hammer. What I would recommend if you're gonna do that is this grass right here, that's right under the sight tower. Park your ass right there, go into siege mode, and just start blasting people. Because your rest of your team's gonna be in there just going to town on them, so you can just get some long-range shots off. I'm not going to bother with that right now, though, just because this isn't a normal game. So I'm just going to do practice. So now one thing I can do that's really nice is I can park myself right here in siege mode and go to town on Raynor. Yeah, see, siege mode is really powerful. And then since he's gone, I can start blowing up the minions.
Word is there's treasure on the house. Be quick.
Take him out really quick. There we go. Alright, let me go get this treasure here.
Cover up your
Alright, and to show you what Concussive Blast looks like, it's literally just that. It's just the cone in front of you. Decent enough ability for keeping people off of you, like I said, but you shouldn't be using it too often unless you got people on you all the time. Alright, got me some treasure. Gold, 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 gold. Alright, let's go turn this in really quick. Generally on this map, if you're Sergeant Hammer especially, do not turn in unless you have other teammates to back you up. Because if you have the entire team coming down on you, they're going to swarm you and you're going to die.
I got this.
Alright, so come back down here, almost level 4. There we go. Alright, so let's see. We've got a Lily. And, alright, well the Lily's in middle, so I'm probably going to have basic, yeah. Yeah, see, he's beating on me. I'm going to go with Vampiric Assault, just so I can keep myself alive. Yeah, see, I mean, the healing's nice enough. So, it helps. I mean, not to mention, too, you can pick up the regen globes while you're going down the lane.
They'll need to pay up first.
Every bit helps.
Rolling.
Alright, so then I can come down here and park. I will warn you, in terms of going siege mode, be very careful. Because when you're hanging out here in siege mode, until you have hover siege mode, if someone comes out and attacks you, you can get overwhelmed pretty easily. So definitely be careful with that.
Use a talent.
Here we go, hover siege mode. Alright,
Mind if I do?
I'm a tank.
In my sight.
Rolling tank.
What I do.
Yeah, see, once you get hover siege mode, it just becomes so much smoother. It's just so much easier to take people out. 'Cause, see, look how much damage I'm doing now.
That had to hurt.
It's so nice.
Ready to drop the hammer.
Alright, blast that, blast that. Take that out. Take out the wall.
Proceed.
Nice. Alright, make sure, as Sergeant Hammer, try not to tunnel vision onto the buildings and whatnot, because your minions are really important for pushing as well. You really want to make sure that you got them on the front lines, because they'll take swings at enemy heroes and generally keep you alive. Die, die, die. Go, go, go. I love how stupid the AI in this game is.
In my sight.
Yeah, see, luckily enough, the Vampiric Assault is actually healing us for a decent enough amount that it's helpful. Oh, here we go, Napalm Strike. Alright, get ready for the boom!
Airborne. This is your flag.
Oh, I love Napalm Strike, it's so good. That damage, though. Boom! That's one thing I will recommend playing as Sergeant Hammer. If you have Napalm Strike up and there's minions nearby, use it on them. Don't use it on the towers and whatnot, because your basic attacks will take care of that fairly easy. You want to try to use it against enemy heroes, minions, whatnot, because that's where the real damage is needed. Alright, so take that out. And then Napalm. Owned. Alright, exit siege mode. If you need to travel, get out of siege mode. Obviously, don't want to be floating around in hover siege mode going half your speed. I will say when you're going for these treasure chests, definitely try to lay down some mines near the fog here. Just because you want to try to make sure if anybody's coming your way, they get slowed and damaged. Any advantage you can get, take it, obviously. Alright, get the treasure, go turn this in.
Choose a talent.
Alright, so like I said, for this one here, First Strike is definitely my favorite. Just because you shouldn't be getting attacked that much, that you should have it up basically almost the entire game. It's really nice to have. Alright, let's push down here. Another good thing about Napalm Strike I will mention is that it actually makes it very easy to merc, at least in terms of things like the Siege Giants.
Let's rain down some hellfire.
Definitely hurt a bit.
Spread the love
Die, die, die!
in my sights.
There we go.
Had to hurt. Seems we've reached an accord. Let's show your enemy.
Alright, so we're gonna go take out...
Good time.
when you're doing mercs, don't stay in siege mode. Oh, I forgot they changed that. Yeah, even still, pretty easy to take the mercenary camps anyways.
Good heal, kid. Keep it up.
Yeah, in practice mode this is usually about the time when we start just rolling over their core. Napalm!
Delivering Halo. Rock and roll.
Yeah, as you can tell, Sergeant Hammer is very, very push.
Let's rain down.
She's absolutely amazing for pushing the lane. Especially if, like, the enemy really leaves you alone. They're not even touching you, it's ridiculous. Alright, this tier graduating range, definitely my favorite. Just because watch now, the circle, see it got bigger, and it'll keep getting bigger, and bigger, and bigger. Bam! 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 And then we can go push the core. And then Napalm.
Down some hellfire.
Yeah, that's game.
Hey, it's been a blast. Ready to drop the hammer.
Napalm really just does so much damage, it's unbelievable. I love this fire animation that they added to the nameplates, that's so nice.
Two in a row.
In my sights.
It's right there. Go grab it. That one's not getting up.
This is absolutely hilarious. I'm literally just destroying their entire team right now.
Spread the love.
Now you're dead. And that's game. Alright, well, that was a good example of the power of Sergeant Hammer. If you guys have any questions or comments or anything, feel free to leave them down below. And I'd be happy to get any feedback from you guys. I would love to see a discussion on what you guys thought of my talent choices. And I'll be sure to get more tutorials like this up as soon as I can. Have a good one. See ya!